3rd Arkansas, or 3rd Arkansas Infantry Regiment, was a Confederate Army regiment during the American Civil War, and the most celebrated unit from that state. Formed and initially commanded by Colonel Albert Rust, and later falling under the command of Colonel Van H.Manning, the regiment was part of the Army of Northern Virginia serving under General Robert E. Lee. The regiment served for the duration of the war, for the late months of 1861 through to the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse in 1865. They were the only Arkansas regiment to serve the entire war in the East, where most of the major battles were fought. They were also the only Arkansas regiment to initially sign up for the duration of the war, with all other regiments from that state signing on for a one-year enlistment. Formation. The regiment was formed in May and June 1861, initially by Dr. W. H. Tebbs, who would be appointed a captain, and Van H.Manning, who would later command the regiment. Early in May 1861, Dr. W. H. Tebbs, captain of a volunteer company raised on Bayou Bartholomew in Ashley County, and Captain Van H.Manning, the captain of a company organized at Hamburg in Ashley County, went to Vicksburg, Mississippi in order to tender the services of the two companies for service in the Confederate Army. They contacted Leroy P. Walker, Confederate Secretary of War at Montgomery, by telegraph and received his reply declining the offer of the two companies, separate from a regiment. They then went to Montgomery, and Manning enlisted the help of Arkansas Confederate Senator Albert Rust. Rust helped gain the acceptance as a part of the Confederate Army, conditioned on his raising the remaining companies needed to form a regiment. Rust returned to Arkansas, and organized 9 additional companies, and joined Captain Tebbs and Captain Manning in Virginia, where the regiment was mustered into service for the period of the war. The addition of 9 companies made 11 when the regiment was organized. Tebbs's company and Captain Manning's were perhaps the first and only companies denied admission into the Confederate service, even for a day, and were the first companies enlisted for the war. When organized, the regiment was composed of 11 companies. Company A, the Arkansas Travelers, commanded by Captain W. H. Tebbs, organized at Portland, Ashley County. On September 25, 1862, 42 members of disbanded Company L, also from Ashley County, were assigned to this company. During its 4 years of service, 147 men served in Company A. Only 20 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company B, the Berlin Beauregards, commanded by Captain Capers, organized at Berlin, Ashley County. During its 4 years of service, 110 men served in Company B. Only 8 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company C, the Confederate Stars, commanded by Captain Thomas M. Whittington, organized at Monticello, Drew County. During its 4 years of service, 154 men served in Company C. Only 13 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company D, the Selma Rifles, commanded by Captain R. S. Taylor, organized at Selma, Drew County. During its 4 years of service, 83 men served in Company D. Only 8 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company E, the Champagnol Guards, commanded by Captain Thomas F. Nolan, organized at Champagnol, Union County. On July 18, 1862, 28 members of disbanded Company C, 2nd Arkansas Infantry Battalion, which was also from Union County, were assigned to this company. During its 4 years of service, 131 men served in Company E. Only 20 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company F, the Hot Spring Hornets, commanded by Captain Thrasher, organized at Rockport, Hot Spring County. On July 18, 1862, 33 members of disbanded Company A, 2nd Arkansas Infantry Battalion, were assigned to this company. However, most of them were soon discharged for various wounds and illnesses. During its 4 years of service, 119 men served in Company F. Only 10 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company G, the Three Creeks Rifles, commanded by Captain Rudy, organized at Three Creeks, Union County. On July 18, 1862, 18 members of disbanded Company C, 2nd Arkansas Infantry Battalion, also from Union County, were assigned to this company. During its 4 years of service, 127 men served in Company G. Only 23 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company H, the Orphaned Company, commanded by Captain Reed, a mixed Arkansas, Kentucky company. The fledgling company had only gathered 33 volunteers, only a third of that needed to constitute a full company. 2 companies of Arkansas volunteers from Ashley County, passing through Nashville, Tennessee, on the way to Virginia to form the 3rd Arkansas Infantry, met Samuel V. Reed of Kentucky, who had brought 30 of his fellow Kentuckians down to Tennessee, looking for a regiment to attach themselves to. It was proposed that the 2 groups of volunteers join forces to fit out a full company from the 3rd Arkansas. The commissioned and non-commissioned officer appointments would be equally divided among the 2 groups, with Reed becoming captain and Gibson becoming first lieutenant. Accordingly, the Kentuckians enlisted at Nashville on June 10, the Arkansans enlisted at Tyro on June 15, and the new company traveled to Lynchburg, Virginia, where it was assigned to the 3rd Regiment, Arkansas Volunteers, as Company H. July 1861. Colonel Albert Rust, regimental commander, referred to the company as "My Orphans," a name which the men adopted as the Orphan Company. In keeping with its cosmopolitan nature, Company H recruited quite a few Virginians during the war. During its 4 years of service, 116 men served in Company H. Only 9 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company I, the Tulip Rifles, commanded by Captain Alexander, organized at Tulip, Dallas County. On July 18, 1862, 30 members of disbanded Company B, 2nd Arkansas Infantry Battalion, were assigned to this company. Company I was the only company in the 3rd Arkansas that made significant use of conscripts to reinforce its ranks. In March 1863, 30 farmers and furloughed soldiers from other regiments were conscripted at Camden, Arkansas, and sent to the company in Virginia. During its 4 years of service, 150 men served in Company I. Only 13 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company K, the Ashley Volunteers, commanded by Captain Wilson Wilkins, organized at Hamburg, Ashley County. During its 4 years of service, 134 men served in Company A. Only 24 of them remained when the company was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Company L, the Rust Guards, commanded by Captain Joseph H. Bell, organized at Latonia, Ashley County. On September 25, 1862, the company was disbanded. 42 of its members were transferred to Company A, also from Ashley County. A total of 73 men were carried on the rolls of Company L during its existence. Only 10 of them remained when the regiment was surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. Albert Rust was appointed colonel, and the regiment was sent to Lynchburg, Virginia for military training. While in Virginia, command-level officers with formal military training were assigned to the regiment, to include West Point graduate Seth Maxwell Battin, who was assigned as lieutenant colonel, and with Virginia Military Institute graduate Thomas Middleton Semmes assigned as regimental adjutant. The regiment was then attached to General Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, and deployed to the area of what would soon after become West Virginia. By mid-1862, the regiment was under the command of Van Manning following Albert Rust's promotion to brigadier general, with William H. Tebbs being promoted to lieutenant colonel. Battle actions. From its induction into the Confederate Army, the 3rd Arkansas would go on to become one of the most distinguished and well-respected Confederate regiments of the war. However, prior to the first battle actions, the first impressions of them by the fellow Confederates were, by written accounts since, not good. In several accounts, relayed by author and historian Moriel P. Jocelyn, the regiment was first seen as a poorly dressed and poorly equipped lot of ignorant country boys, once proven in combat. However, those opinions of them would change dramatically. The regiment was ordered to the mountains of West Virginia, where it performed arduous and discouraging service in the campaign on the Gauley and Cheat rivers. This was followed by hard marching under Stonewall Jackson in the Valley Campaign. The regiment was engaged in the battles of Greenbrier and Allegheny, under General Jackson at Winchester. In January 1862, the 3rd Arkansas marched to Bath and Romney, returned to Winchester, and was ordered thence to Fredericksburg and assigned to the brigade of Gen. Theophilus H. Holmes. Colonel Rust was promoted to brigadier general about this time, and was transferred to a command in the Western armies. The Van Manning was promoted to the colonel of the regiment succeeding Col. Rust. The 3rd Arkansas was engaged in the battles of White Oak Swamp, June 3, 1862, in J. G. Walker's brigade. On July 1, 1862 participated in the Battle of Malvern Hill. In July 1862, the ranks of the 3rd Arkansas was augmented by the addition of nearly 140 soldiers from the 2nd Arkansas Infantry Battalion. The 2nd Arkansas Battalion had been organized in October 1861 from 3 companies of volunteers from El Dorado, Hot Springs and Pine Bluff. In June 1862, the 2nd Arkansas Battalion was decimated while leading an assault on the Federal position at Beaver Dam Creek, and its commander, Major William Naylor Bronner, mortally wounded. The War Department disbanded the battalion and transferred its survivors to the 3rd Arkansas. On September 17, 1862, at the Battle of Antietam, Companies A and L of the 3rd Arkansas were decimated. On September 25, the few survivors of Company L were transferred into Company A, and Company L ceased to exist. Thus the regiment was reduced to 10 companies, the normal complement for an infantry regiment. Colonel Manning was seriously wounded during the battle. In November 1862, the 3rd Arkansas was assigned to the famous Texas Brigade of the Army of Northern Virginia. The Confederate War Department had determined that the troops would benefit from being brigaded with regiments from the home states. At this time, the standard brigade organization consisted of 4 regiments. There were 3 Texas regiments in the Army, the 1st, 4th and 5th, and only 1 Arkansas regiment. It was therefore decided to group these 4 Western regiments together. The 3rd Arkansas remained an integral part of Hood's Texas Brigade until the end of the war. The first engagement that the unit participated in as part of the Texas Brigade was the Battle of Fredericksburg in December 1862. The regiment was not engaged at Chancellorsville, being detached with the rest of Longstreet's corps at Suffolk. The 3rd Arkansas acquired a reputation as tenacious fighters, are often finding themselves in the thickest fighting on the battlefield, such as the presence at the Sunken Road during the Battle of Antietam. Their most famous action was while serving as a part of the Texas Brigade during the Battle of Gettysburg, at the Devil's Den, where they took heavy casualties while serving under General John Bell Hood. Its place in the front of Hood's assault meant it was one of the first units, if not the first, to be heavily engaged during the second day of the battle. The regiment was commended for gallantry in that action, while under the direct command of Brigadier General Jerome B. Robertson, fighting in and in the vicinity of the Devil's Den. The regiment was transferred with Longstreet's corps to Tennessee in September 1863 in time to fight at the Battle of Chickamauga. The unit went on to participate in the battles of Chattanooga, Wauhatchie, and in the Siege of Knoxville, Tennessee, returning to the Army of Northern Virginia in the spring of 1864. The regiment suffered heavy casualties later in the Battle of the Wilderness, during which they lost many of the commanding officers in addition to heavy losses in the ranks. In that battle they lost Colonel Van Manning and Lt. Colonel Robert Samuel Taylor, both of whom were badly wounded and captured, in addition to Major William K. Wilkins, who was killed in action. The regiment continued the fight at Spotsylvania, and on to Cold Harbor. The regiment was at Deep Run on August 6, 1864, at Petersburg during the siege by Grant, at High Bridge and Farmville during the closing day of the war in 1865. By the end of the war, the Texas Brigade as a whole, which included the 1st, 4th and 5th Texas, and the 3rd Arkansas, had only 617 men remaining out of a total of 5,353. The 3rd Arkansas Infantry is entitled to the following campaign participation credit: Operations on Cheat Mountain, West Virginia, September 11 to 17, 1861. Skirmish, Elkwater, West Virginia, September 11, 1861. Skirmish, Point Mountain Turnpike, West Virginia, September 11-12, 1861. Skirmish, Petersburg, West Virginia, September 12, 1861. Engagement, Greenbrier River, Cheat Mountain, West Virginia, October 3-4, 1861. Operations in the Valley District and against Romney, West Virginia, November 26, 1861 to February 21, 1862. Battle of Seven Pines, Virginia, May 31 to June 1, 1862. Skirmish, Gills Bluff, Virginia, June 20, 1862. 7 Days Battles, Virginia, June 25 to July 1, 1862. Engagement, Turkey Bridge, Virginia, June 30, 1862. Campaign in Northern Virginia, August 16 to September 2, 1862. Maryland Campaign, September 3 to 19, 1862. Siege, Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, September 13, 1862. Battle of Antietam, Maryland, September 16-17, 1862. Action, Bolivar Heights, West Virginia, September 19, 1862. Operations in Loudoun, Fauquier and Rappahannock Counties, Virginia, October 26 to November 10, 1862. Battle of Fredericksburg, Virginia, December 12 to 15, 1862. Siege, Suffolk, Virginia, April 11 to May 4, 1863. Skirmish, Somerton Road, Virginia, April 15, 1863. Skirmish, Somerton Road, Virginia, April 20, 1863. Action, Edenton Road, Suffolk, Virginia, April 24, 1863. Gettysburg Campaign, June 3 to August 1, 1863. Battle of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, July 1 to 3, 1863. Battle of Chickamauga, Georgia, September 19 to 21, 1863. Siege, Chattanooga, Tennessee, September 24 to November 1, 1863. Campaign, Knoxville, Tennessee, November 4 to December 23, 1863. Siege, Knoxville, Tennessee, November 17 to December 4, 1863. Assault, Forts Saunders and Loudon, Knoxville, Tennessee, November 29, 1863. Operations about Dandridge, Tennessee, January 16 to January 17, 1864. Operations about Dandridge, Tennessee, January 26 to 28, 1864. Wilderness Campaign, May 4 to June 12, 1864. Battle of the Wilderness, Virginia, May 5 to 7, 1864. Battles of Spotsylvania Courthouse, Laurel Hill, and Wye River and Fredericksburg Road, Virginia, May 8 to 21, 1864. Assault of the Salient, Spotsylvania Courthouse, Virginia, May 12, 1864. Operations on the line of the North Anna River, Virginia, May 22 to 26, 1864. Operations on the line of the Pamunkey River, Virginia, May 26 to 28, 1864. Operations on the line of the Totopotomoy River, Virginia, May 28 to 31, 1864. Battles about Cold Harbor, Virginia, June 1 to 12, 1864. Assault, Petersburg, Virginia, June 15, 1864. Siege operations against Petersburg and Richmond, Virginia, June 16, 1864 to April 2, 1865. Assault, Petersburg, Virginia, June 18, 1864. Engagements at Deep Bottom, Strawberry Plains and New Market Road, Virginia, June 27 to 29, 1864. Engagements at Deep Bottom, New Market Road and Darbytown Road, Virginia, August 13 to 20, 1864. Engagement, Fair Oaks and Darbytown Road, Virginia, October 27, 28, 1864. Appomattox Campaign, March 28 to April 9, 1865. Assault and capture, Petersburg Lines, Virginia, April 2, 1865. Surrender, Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, April 9, 1865. Battle flags. The 3rd Arkansas is generally understood to have had at least 4 different regimental colors during the war, and there are at least 3 surviving examples of the battle flags of the 3rd Arkansas Infantry. The first flag of the 3rd Arkansas was probably a first national Confederate flag, probably originally issued to either Company C, the Confederate Starts, or Company K, the Ashley Volunteers. The unit carried this first flag during the Battle of Sharpsburg. If this flag has survived, it has not been identified. Author Glenn Edmond identifies the second flag, which was carried by the 3rd Arkansas, as a 3-foot square flag which is currently in the collection of the Old State House Museum in Little Rock, Arkansas. The Old State House Museum, Little Rock, identifies this flag as an artillery guidon. The flag was donated to the Old State House Museum by the family of Private R. Jesse Bailey, 3rd Arkansas Infantry Regimental Band. The flag was allegedly made for the unit by the ladies of Fredericksburg, Virginia, while the regiment was stationed there in the winter of 1862. It is likely that regimental color-bearer James M. Johnson was killed while carrying this flag at the Battle of Chickamauga, the 19th of September, 1863. The flag, an Army of Northern Virginia battle flag, is 35.5 inches times 35.5 inches square, orange border, 5-inch stripe of the St. Andrews cross, and 13 stars made of bunting and cotton with a canvas lead. The third flag carried by the 3rd Arkansas is an Army of Northern Virginia battle flag pattern made of bunting and cotton with canvas lead, 47 inches times 46 inches. Glenn Dedmont identifies the flag as a 3rd bunting issue flag made by the Richmond Depo. The flag was issued to the unit on September 20, 1863 on the field of Chickamauga, and was probably carried until approximately the 1st of January 1865. Private Spencer Young, who was wounded carrying the flag in the Battle of the Wilderness, saved the flag and carried it back to the state. It remained in his custody until donated to the Old State House Museum, Little Rock in the 1920s. The 4th and final flag of the 3rd Arkansas was a Richmond Depo 4th bunting issue flag, which is currently in the collections of the Museum of the Confederacy in Richmond, Virginia. The 51-inch by 50-inch flag has a red bunting field crossed with 7-inch blue bunting bars in a St. Andrews cross with 3/8-inch white cotton fimbriation. There are 13 5.5-inch stars on the cross. This flag was surrendered by the regiment at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, and was assigned capture number 411. Surrender. When General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9, 1865, only 144 men of the 3rd Arkansas remained out of the 1,353 mustered into it from the start of the war.